All right, all right. Hey, guys, welcome back. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on in. We're going to get into a collective message. Throughout the day, I will be doing all zodiacs. And so happy Sunday, everybody. I was so excited to have a day where I'm entirely and completely here and we get to have a nice time. All right, we have a Page of Pentacles. It is sideways. We have the Temperance. It is also sideways. So rocking possibly a Sag energy. There could be the desire for some kind of communication that would balance things out. Now, this could be two people that both feel the same way because it is shared energy, it's sideways. Could be that two people are like, I wonder if just like a gentle communication would actually, make things flow. And this could be, doesn't mean that two people are having arguments or problems. This could just be, sometimes it's nice to touch base with the people that we love, whatever. Hey, sis, thinking of you today. Something simple. That's kind of what those like funny little memes and, little tiny, just humorous things. That's kind of why we send those to each other sometimes, right? It's kind of to give somebody a little chuckle and, now we know, oh, they were thinking of me when they saw this and they knew I'd get a kick out of it. It's just something simple, possibly. We have a Knight of Pentacles, though, and a Seven of Swords. So apparently I spoke too soon. I probably should have looked at the other two cards in my paw. Because this says bullshit. That's not what this is about. In fact, this is about running. This is about one person procrastinating, the other person dodging. And yet two people both think that they'd like to come into peace and harmony with each other. Okay, hang on. Don't you love it when I get schooled? And remember, as a storyteller, improv, I have no second chances to eat my words when I do these live in particular. And I'm too lazy to ever bother to edit things, even if I don't run them live. So that means I got one shot to get it right. And it's hilarious when it's right there in my hand and I'm saying the wrong thing. We got a Two of Cups. We got the Wheel of Fortune. We have the King of Wands. We have the Eight of Wands. Oh my God, Three of Cups, and hang on, they're naked, so I have to cover that. And the blank card. Okay, so again, at least one thing I said was right, which is for this storyline, we definitely have two people feeling the exact same way. Both, and what I would say here is this is two people who want to be together, but they want the other person to make the first move. This is two people that actually, man, once upon a time, they were really happy together and things were beautiful. And it felt like, oh, this is just the right time. Like I met them and it's a perfect time in my life. And they might have been very romantic and they might have been very, like just treating each other like the best thing they've ever encountered, right? Everything was great. Hearts were open. There was nothing hidden. Both of them had an easy flow of communication. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And this is what they'd like to get back to, but everybody's wearing sunglasses in this. Now, I don't know if you've been with somebody else. I don't know if in our time apart, I don't know what's happened. What if you have somebody else? I don't want to call and find out that you have somebody else. I don't want to find out that you've been in bed with somebody else. Both people hold the exact same worries. Because, man, we had something so good. And now, obviously, these two have not talked. And they're petrified of making the first move. Can I just ask briefly, what went wrong with something that was so good? We have an Empress. It doesn't look like anything went wrong unless it got really serious really fast. Three of Pentacles. I mean, maybe they did talk about like, let's, we go from like falling in love and it's really exciting and it's really, like filling our senses. And then all of a sudden, okay, I want to be with you. Let's make this really serious. There's all these expressions of love. If that could have been where things started to go wrong because it suddenly had a lot more pressure. Or we could have our feminine saying, I thought that we both really wanted something really serious and then they got weird and then I couldn't tell if they were serious anymore. This all seems like it's from her side. Maybe their behavior changed. Maybe they were all of a sudden either not around as much or she worried that maybe they did pull back. Something here says they started to treat her like a bud or a friend instead of the Empress that they wanted to be with. And I think this made her very confused. Hang on. Why? Let's change decks. No, let's go this deck. Why did she start to feel like that? Was that a figment of her imagination, or was that correct? Something changed here. Hot-blooded, wonderful, chivalrous, beautiful energy, and then all of a sudden we're buds, we're pals. Queen of Coins, Four of Cups. Why did she suddenly feel like there was a shift? And it says, I don't know, did somebody conveniently forget that they had other obligations? Was there a Queen of Pentacles somewhere? Why do we have this regret? What was the deal? Where'd this regret come from? Was it in, I don't know if, we'll say he, and I'm just going off of the he aspect because we had a masculine and a feminine on the Two of Cups card. But bear in mind, this could have been same-sex couple, reverse gender roles. Two of Swords, Wheel of Fortune. It wasn't really the right time. There's a blockage to this being the right time. And they regret the fact that and I'm going to say he was like all about this. Like, yes, we're going to be together. We're going to do this. And she was like, awesome. So on board. I'm going to be your lady. You're going to be my man, whatever. Lady, man, doesn't matter. But it's us. We're a Two of Cups. We're going to be married. We're going to have it all. I'm going to be your empress. Empresses and emperors are the ones who typically get married, which is why I'm bringing up marriage, even though we don't have a marriage card here. And then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, hey, friend, how's it going? Yeah, we should hang out. You don't go from Two of Cups to let's hang. Hanging out is what you do with your pals, right? That's why I always say, thanks guys for hanging out with me, because it's it's a fun like hangout session. It's a dinner party. We're all kicking it together, right? It's fun. It's lighthearted. We're just enjoying each other's company. That's different than dating somebody with big intention and intense words of love. And it's like there was an immediate regret that I have all these blockages, not really the right time, even though it is the right time because I met the person I wanted. But now, what is this? What is this? Queen of Coins. Who are you, Queen of Coins? Does he have obligation to somebody else? Did he have obligation to somebody else? Ten of Cups. It says he's got a whole sketched out family over here. Well, that'll stop a train for sure. Okay. So this is somebody who forgot they had a family, that they were already married, that they had financial obligations to a family unit. Maybe this is a family unit of the past. Maybe they were divorced, but still very much interwoven financially, or still living with the ex family. In all fairness, this is a sketched out. And when I say that, I don't mean sketchy, like, ooh, that's sketchy. I'm talking about like, this is not something in full color, right? This is, almost like this is not filled in anymore. The clock front and center is more filled in so it's almost like the family that used to be, but they seem to have still been playing a pretty big role. Well, you can't say that you're in love with somebody, you want to marry somebody else, and failed to tell them, but P.S., I have all of this other family that I'm still caring for, have responsibilities to. So after going in all hot and heavy, now let me go ahead and backtrack and be, hey, friend, let's hang out. I'm sorry, but that's what I got on this one so far. And that definitely seems sufficient to have put a blockage, which also maybe explains why he wants to talk to her again, but he wants to go real, real slow. She kind of wants to run because she thinks he's a liar, is kind of now the way I would interpret that. Okay. Why not just leave this one alone? Why not just walk away? Because it doesn't seem like this was handled properly. I'm just being blunt. So I just thought, let me ask that question. Why not walk away from it? Judgment in the reverse says it has been walked away from, right? And there is no forgiving other than somebody still wants to say, but I'm sorry because you're still my soulmate and I still want to come back, even if we can never have a 10 of Cups. Okay, so basically everything was handled real wrong, but it doesn't change the way two people feel about each other. Okay, this is a very frustrating storyline. Can we immediately turn to the universe for some guidance on this? Universe, the fact that this looks like, I don't understand why it was ever handled this way. So what is the lesson out of this, universe? Queen of Cups, okay, and that is her. And we've already seen her once as a Queen of Cups. What about her, universe? Two of Wands and perspective, so the Hanged Man. So on her side, she holds the power to decide how to see the situation. And what is the encouragement for her then? The Queen of Cups is the one who gets to make decisions about things. Six of Cups, she gets to make a decision about whether or not she would ever not only want to see it from his viewpoint, but whether or not she would ever want him back because this is a soulmate, or to consider soulmates don't necessarily end up together, right? Soulmates are the people that we learn lessons with and from. This could be somebody that it's like, hey, in truth, maybe had I known that they were still embroiled in something, maybe I still would have chosen this anyway. Maybe I wasn't given the courtesy of knowing this when I should have known it. But had I known, would I have played my cards any different? This could be that, in all honesty, she would have said, no, if they were separated but still very much embroiled in somebody else's life, and I knew that right out of the gate, honestly, I still would have taken what opportunity we had for a moment of love. I still would have done what I wanted to do because I felt connected to them. And if she can still say that, then there is a certain amount of, then babe, you got what you would have done anyway. Now, that is not to sidestep the fact that if she wasn't made aware of all of this in the first place, that wouldn't be, a deal breaker. Okay. Look, I'm all for truth and transparency so that everybody gets a right to pick what they're okay with. Even if the truth is, well, I would have been okay with it anyway. The bottom line is you didn't give me the right to pick that for myself. Then I'm still like, okay, that's still a messed up way to handle things. But again, this is not Kate's morality corner. I don't care what any character does. But I'm trying to tell the story as best we can with these kind of thought-provoking twists. Like, think of it from another perspective. Queen of Cups, would you have loved him anyway? Would you have felt differently about him if you knew he was still, not quite done with some other situation? If he still had tremendous financial ties, from what we can tell, to a not very happy relationship, admittedly, or a family of the past? Had you known that up front, would it have changed anything that you did? And this kind of just asks her to answer the question herself. There's no right or wrong, except she is still upright. She is emotionally connected to somebody that it seems like she goes, he's still a soulmate. At the end of the day, I mean, maybe she wouldn't have let herself fall for him, but I don't think this is a matter of letting yourself fall for anybody. I think the feeling is what the feeling is. So I'm going to say on this one scenario, she probably would have loved him regardless. How do you stop your heart from feeling what it feels? Okay. Universe, what's the message on his side of things? We have a Queen of Wands upright, and we have the Tower. On his side, the universe is asking him, so contemplate. You meet her and she dazzles you and delights you, and she is the Queen of Wands, and you need to respect a Queen of Wands. And not only is she sparkly and is she beautiful and is she captivating, but she's also somebody that you should have dropped your ego for. You should have given her the level of respect that you owed her. Did you do that? This is a Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands, it doesn't matter. We're talking about the same person, right? We're talking about the Queen of Cups, Queen of Wands, somebody they were I think, bowled over by her attractiveness. They were very, very, very turned on by her. And they should have then dropped their ego and their guard. And with that, 10 of Mays, that's the Wheel of Fortune again. You notice how it very boldly says, you should have dropped all guard and you should have laid it out and said, you're the location that I want to be at. My life is a bit of a maze right now, though. I met you at the perfect time because you're how I'm going to navigate through the maze that I'm in. But they probably should have said this all point blank. That's not such a hard thing to say. Life is complicated. Life is many, many shades of gray. Nobody has it all worked out. But when you spot something and you go, I now have, my compass is now pointing in true north, but I still have to, navigate this terrain to get there. It is a bit of a maze as to how I'm going to work this all out. But if they had just been completely dropped their guard and said all of that to her at the gate, it would have shown much more like respect and direction and intention. So this hints that they had an ego in place where they didn't want to tell her that. Why? What is there to consider there? Temperance. They just thought if they weren't seeming like they were exactly in her vibration, then she'd bounce. But pretending you're exactly at the same place somebody else is at is not going to work. Maybe they wanted to step into her world and see what that would feel like. Imagine for a minute that I am completely right where you are and we can just match and everything's going to be fine. Yes, but that's a fantasy if the truth of it is you still have a maze to work through. So I don't know if they just wanted to step into the energy of the fantasy that everything could work out just perfect, even though the reality was, but you still have a maze to get through. Yes, but I met her. It has to be the right time, because how could I have met somebody she's perfect. She's everything I've wanted to be with. This has to work. Yes, but not without effort. We can say anything in life. It's, oh, this is the perfect time. I could say today, it was the perfect time for me to have today to do videos, right? But if I don't sit down and do them, they don't get done. So just because something's a perfect time, I have nothing else on my schedule today. Today is my day. If I don't do it, then it doesn't happen. So it's not enough just to say, oh, but it's perfect. Yes, but now put in the effort. And it just kind of says perhaps they wanted it to just somehow magically happen. And this does feel like somebody who needed to be dropping their guard and not just trying to pretend that everything would be perfect, but to actually have the tough conversation. So ultimately, what we're describing in this story is the failure of one very truthful conversation that simply would have explained, I have some other things that I still have to work through and work out. I have a lot of financial ties to someone. They may not even be living with this person. Most likely they weren't. But the financial ties are significant enough that it would prevent them from just going and building a new life with somebody else. There's the blockage. That Two of Swords. It's very real and very, very present. It doesn't mean that it wasn't still the right time to meet somebody new and to be able to say, oh my gosh, this gives me more motive to like really work stuff out with the situation that I was in, that I was closing down. I now need more inspiration to wrap things up because I have someone I want to be with. That's what should have happened. That's the lesson that should have come out of this if things were in the perfect world. Now that they have hindsight, does that change anything? Let's change decks one last time and say, universe, does that change anything? Is there any potential still for this? We have a 7 of Wands. And we have the Death card. It all depends on how much transformation occurs. 7 of Wands is how we get beyond struggles. We have characters going into their heart space, right? Deep into, where do I actually find answers within myself? And because mistakes were already made, but we are not only the mistakes that we make in life. We are how we recover, how we learn, how we move forward, right? So undoubtedly, if they really have this self-reflection and it really changes the perspective, but also how they would behave moving forward, is there still a potential here? It all depends on if both characters would still want to try to move forward. And primarily, I think more on our feminine side, would she want a second round with this person? Now, here's the thing. We don't have them communicating. We have them both wishing that somehow everything could get worked out. We don't have that communication yet. We have the 2 of Wands in the reverse. The 2 of Wands in the reverse. It says we have to find the answer and settle on it. Right now we have 2 people both wishing that they could have a conversation, and it has to start somewhere. But unless they both actually say, no, I don't want to be timid about this. Remember those first 2 cards were sideways. First 2 cards were, I do wish that somehow we could have dialogue that might change something, alter something. And then we have this message of, well, unless they actually do more than timidly wish for that and then immediately back away or push it off way down the road, the day when they actually both get solid on what they want to do, Look, maybes don't make anything happen, right? If we're like, gosh, I'd really like that to happen, maybe that'll happen. This is the reminder that it's their life. If you want something to happen, you got to get up off your duff and go do it. But first, you got to be clear. Do you really want to talk to this person? Not like, I wish it would happen, but I don't want to put in the effort, or I wish it would happen, but this and this and this and this and this. Then it says you don't really want to. You want it to be different, a different situation than what it was, but you don't actually want to work out this situation, or you don't actually want to talk to this person about the situation. You just want to say, I wish it were different. And that's where I think it makes perfect sense to me, because if the truth of it is it's ruined, we're not going backwards because the mistake was already made. I won't get beyond it. I won't forgive it. And nobody should have to, right? This could have been a deal breaker. You fail to tell me something. I can't get past that because I think you're untrustworthy. Then let it go and move on. Don't hold on. If, in fact, the only way to fix this would be if it never happened, we can't reverse and undo it. So there's no point in even saying maybe we could still fix it if only fixing it meant we could make it so it never happened. That's not possible. So we may as well let go completely and just move on with our wonderful lives. This is more the message for her, right? For our feminine. It all depends. These characters have to decide the bottom line. What is it that they actually want? What is it that they actually want to do? He's saying way later on, maybe I would want to. Way later on, maybe I could. King of Wands, and the universe is saying, nope, Emperor up now, King up now, be a double dose of responsibility, action taking. If you actually feel this way about somebody, what the heck are you doing saying maybe later? Maybe later. Nope. Now or never. I'm not sure why that's coming across a now or never, other than keep in mind, this is more the, what is the higher perspective? Why would you think that waiting more time would change anything? You still have to take responsibility for the fact that, things weren't handled properly at the very beginning. You still will have to take responsibility for wherever you're at now. Nothing changes. So why would waiting alter anything? What are you waiting for other than courage? Or to figure out what you really want? If you know what you want, and you need to course correct something to the best of your ability regardless, then you may as well do it today than waste years thinking about it. I mean, that's just so that we can get the ball moving again, get these characters to a decision so they can move on with their lives either together or apart. But if they both sit here wondering, it would be so nice to talk, I kind of would like to hear from them. I kind of would like to, but I just don't. I don't know. It's what we have seen in this story is what keeps two characters stuck in limbo land and unable to proceed with life. I mean, in this story, and please do remember, these are fictional stories about fictional characters, right? So no matter who you are, no, I'm not speaking about you. What we're able to do is watch what keeps two people unable to forget each other, but unwilling to try to patch it up, or unable to even, maybe she can't give him forgiveness until he asks for it because he's handled it wrong and hasn't acknowledged it. Maybe she'd feel very differently if he actually, explained what should have been done and took responsibility. Or maybe that would just be like, you know what, I forgive you. I don't want to be together, but you know what, I'm glad that I met you. And, who knows? You don't know what would happen because nobody's doing the thing that they should do to make decisions. So they live in limbo instead. They live in longing that is not getting them anywhere. And I would think that's a really kind of wasteful energy when, in truth, if this is the desire, gosh, I do wish we could talk. It just kind of seems to me like then that might be the better use of their time rather than these perpetuating delays. But they get to do whatever they want. We just explored what they could do. Do we want to pull one last card and say what's the most likely action? Because characters can change their minds. They can, sometimes we wait, and then one day we just get up and do it. Let me just ask, what's the most likely outcome? 9 of Cups. Okay. Most likely outcome could be to take an action that is a Nine of Swords. I gotta say, I don't know. This almost looks like, and I don't know who is who. Gonna go ahead and just try to move on and be happy and find joy. And then it could be that the other person's going to stay really stuck and even fearful about love from here on out. Or this could be him being scared to talk to her. And she's like, you know what? I'm just going to move on with my life and be happy. I'm going to love somebody else. I'm going to, dance and drink and, celebrate and have a really nice time. This could go either way. This could be him. This could be her, or vice versa. I don't know. We have 2 9s. That's really hard to identify, other than what my impression is if right now there will be no communication, then this will be the respective choices each of them makes. I mean, maybe he's going to say, you know what, I'm never going to take responsibility or go back and fix anything, so I'll just go ahead and try to go find happiness elsewhere. And she's going to be like, I'm so stressed out over this still, or my mind comes back to this. In fact, now, God, I hope he never comes back. This could be looked at in a kind of an unpleasant way, or a way that says, for the time being, if they both sit in this indecisive energy and they both make choices, because to not make a decision is also making a decision. This is kind of the energy that we have. I'm a little more inclined to think she may say, I can't worry about this anymore. And I think he's a little more inclined to say, I can't stop worrying about this still. But that's just if no action occurs for the time being. Things can always change. Characters can always decide that, there's more that they would like to do or say or accomplish. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for being here, you guys. Really appreciate you. Ash Keller. I know it is my Mrs. Claus outfit, right? I only wear this one at this time of the year, and I so love this, but it is definitely like way over the top. I feel like I should be in a sleigh right now. Bruce Reed, so wonderful to see you. Bruce, you're so kind. Hi, Red and Albert Show. Thank you. Poppy Squeeze. AJSRVIM. Hi, sweetheart. James Timmons, nice to see you. Mariska. Sarwat, wonderful to catch you today. Lion Queen. Bobby Harris. Ingrid Butterfly, hi, sweetheart. Brujita Beauty. Selene, nice to see you. Anne Marie. Anne Marie, every time I read your name, I think of that singer, Anne Marie. She does a song called Psycho that I just love. Bodine Sherman, great to see you. CDW. Look beneath the surface. Feeling my soul. Jenny, hi, hun. Great to see you. All right, you guys, I'm going to be getting to all of the zodiacs today. No filters, Mahan. Wonderful to catch you. Brandy Summers. Hi, Crystal. Yes, today is Sunday, Samanita. Helen York. Motor City Mama. Crystal Clear. Brandy, thanks, honey. Melissa Estes is in the house. Awesome to see you. Jacob, hi. Annie S., wonderful to catch you. Ms. Jamie. Crystal Suzanne, hi, sweetheart. Hi, Lalu. Hetty, thank you again, sweetheart. The original Sarah J. And AJSRVIM, you were first in the house. It's so good to hang out with you today, honey. Desi, you were second in the house, which means, of course, that you both tied with Violet at all times. Nice to see everybody. All right, you guys, I'm going to get to zodiacs. I'll see you guys again throughout the day and evening. Lots of love. Maria, thank you, hun. Wonderful to see you. Bye, guys.